Welcome to It Pays to Save, where our tagline is Smart, Simple, Successful Strategies for Finding Financial Freedom. This is a 4-step program designed to end the vicious cycle of living from paycheck to paycheck and drowning in debt to putting a plan together so you can retire rich and even make $1 million. It's not as hard as you think. We're going to go into great detail into every step along the way, but let's briefly touch on each one. In Paycheck to Paycheck, I'll show you that if you're living from paycheck to paycheck, then you have very little chance of finding financial freedom. Don't get discouraged before even starting, because the goal of this program is to walk you through each step and show you how small changes in your daily finances will get you through this step and well on your way to financial freedom. It'll take you to your second step, which is drowning in debt. And as you know, debt is probably the biggest obstacle in preventing you from reaching financial freedom. But again, I will show you how small changes will get you out of debt quickly and well on your way to your next step. These first 2 steps work together, as do all the steps, but the savings in these first 2 steps is what ends up financing the next step, retiring rich. This is where you begin to finance your future and stop paying off the past. Again, I will show you just how a few dollars a day can add up to $1 million over time. That brings us to making $1 million. It's not as hard as you think. Even if you earn minimum wage and you receive a 3% raise each year, you would have made over $1 million in your lifetime. Stay tuned and I'll show you the math. It's just a matter of saving some of that hard-earned money and letting it work hard for you. There are 2 negatives and 2 positives, and this program is all about turning your negatives into positives. One way to describe this is think of this as your level playing field. Everyone's is going to be a little bit different. But if you're living from paycheck to paycheck, and if you're drowning in debt, you'll never be able to retire rich and make $1 million. You got to dig yourself out of the hole, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's get started. So each step has 10 chapters. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible, so I'm not going to go over each one, but each one does have its own individual video, so everything will be explained in detail. Just putting them up here so you get an idea of the flow of the program and how we're going to get from one step to another. I'm going to show you a successful strategy, but the execution is up to you, and that's the key to this program. You can watch video after video, you can read book after book, but unless you put the practices into play, then you're not going to go anywhere. That's why along the way, we're going to stop at 10 different places where we're going to create spreadsheets that are going to be customized to your situation. You can plug in your own numbers, you can track your own progress, and it will be your program. So, with the 10 spreadsheets and the 4 steps, which include 10 chapters, and this 2-part introduction, that comes to 52. It's a perfect way to track your progress. You ready to get going? Well, get comfortable, because these first 2 introductory steps are the longest of the program, so they will take a little bit of time. But your spare time and a plan is all you need to get started on the path to financial freedom and to start taking control of the way you save and spend money. The It Pays to Save program will open your eyes to how very small, easy changes in your spending and saving habits can be the big difference between drowning in debt and retiring rich. This program is for everybody. If you're hourly, salary, make under $20,000 a year, make over $50,000 a year, it will work for you. And the information in this program has the potential to change your life. It will help you gain control over your finances and your financial well-being. It is relevant to everybody. It is a step-by-step guide for beginners designed primarily to help people who are living paycheck to paycheck and those who are drowning in debt. You may just make $1 million. Yes, that's right, $1 million. It's not as hard as you think. What if I told you you could save your way to $1 million with just $4 a day? That's right, just $4 a day, which is $120 a month and $1,440 annually. If invested at 11%, will end up at roughly $1,500. If you keep adding that $4 a day over 40 years at 11%, you will end up with over $1 million. The most important point here is the earlier you start, the better. That's based on an 11% return on your investment. And what do we base that off of? Pretty much the history of the S&P has returned an average of 11% over the last 40 years. Over the last 10 years, we've been a little bit above 11%. The point here is the earlier you start, the better. But it's not too late. You can still retire rich at just about any age. In America, being rich is not just for the special people, and it's not just something to dream about. It's something that you can achieve by just taking control over your finances and making smart financial decisions. Financial freedom is closer than you think. All it takes is the right information. Not a secret get-rich plan, but an honest, proven, step-by-step guide to true wealth. It also takes a commitment to dedicate a few minutes every day to improving your financial picture. Just a few minutes with a pencil, calculator, laptop, your bills, and a plan is all it takes to guarantee a better and brighter future. True wealth also takes an inner drive to want a better life. A little motivation can go a long way, especially when it's combined with a little time and the right information. The longer you put off taking your finances seriously, the harder it will be to accumulate wealth. The longer you wait, the less money you will have to live out your dreams. I will show you how time is the most important factor in creating wealth, not how much money you need to get started. A better life is within your reach. Don't you think it's time you start reaching for your dreams? Remember, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just that little extra. Consider this. Two families live on the same block, both work for good companies and earn about the same salary. They both drive the latest sports utility vehicle and have a second car, but one family has a little extra. Their house is paid off and their children attend a very exclusive private school. They travel far away to nice exotic vacations every summer, and they're planning on retiring early and spending even more time traveling. They feel more at ease and have that little extra spark in their life. Why? Because a few years ago they decided to spend a little spare time learning about money. Not just how to save it and spend it wisely, but how to invest it and how to make it multiply. They learned how to turn their spare time into spare change, and that spare change into extra cash, and that extra cash into a small fortune. Remember, change and small changes are the key to this program. But unfortunately, many families reject or fear change, but really that's the most important part. The average American family spends less than 3 hours a month on their finances, and the majority of that time is spent balancing the checkbook or just paying bills. Over 90% of Americans do nothing that can reasonably be considered financial planning. However, just by spending a few minutes a day, you can take control over your finances and be well on your way to true wealth. So how do two families with so much in common be so far apart when it comes to their wealth? Information. You are what you know, and the more you know in this information age, the better off you are. We all know that money doesn't grow on trees, but small amounts of money can grow into a fortune. Remember the daily savings of just $4 a day? Well, there's plenty of ways to do that, and we're going to show you how. It's all about having the right information and working smarter rather than working harder. Growing wealth can actually be fun. Imagine getting rich as your hobby. All it takes is that little extra time and that little extra savings. That little extra is what makes one family's finances so different than the next. So where can you find $4 a day? It's easy. You can bring your lunch to work. You can skip that morning bagel or the gourmet coffee. You can turn off some lights and save some electricity, or you can cut some cable channels. Better yet, if you can eliminate your credit card debt, that's where you'll find your biggest savings. The average family's credit card payment is actually much more than $4 a day. The $4 a day that you're spending to pay off your past can be financing your future. It can actually grow to over $1 million. That's right, over $1 million with just saving $4 a day. And that can be the difference of dreaming of being a millionaire and living the American dream of becoming one. No matter how tight money is right now, there are endless ways to save $4 a day. I will show you how to save that and more. It's even possible to make $1 million with half that amount of money or in half that amount of time. In fact, I will show you how to make your million using free matching money from your employer and tax breaks from the government. Just think of the possibilities if you could save more than $4 a day. Combine that with informed investments and you can cut that 40 years in half or even better. Just imagine working half as many years as you had planned. Benjamin Franklin said, "The way to wealth, if you desire it, is as plain as the way to the market." That quote comes from one of the smartest minds of our time and still holds great meaning today. I will show you that the road to wealth doesn't have to be a bumpy ride. It can be as easy as a trip to the market, the stock market that is. All you need is the right information, a roadmap of sorts, directing you down the road to riches. Each turn will get easier. Like I said, these first 2 intro steps are the longest of the program, so this might be a good time for a stretch break. Okay, before the break, we discussed how your spare change, along with small changes in your savings and finances, can make the difference between drowning in debt and retiring rich. Change is uncertain. It can be intimidating and frightening, but it can also be exciting and inspiring. Think positive. Together, we're going to change all of the negatives into positives. If you're falling behind on some credit card payments or your paycheck just isn't going as far as it used to, that's about to change. Negatives into positives. You've already taken a positive step by taking the time to start the program. I'll show you how you can change all your negatives into positives. It's easy, I promise. It's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. Adapting to small changes in your spending and savings habits will make all the difference in the world when it comes to your financial well-being. Money plays a part in just about every move you make. Money is and will always be part of your everyday life. That's why you have to take control over your money now before it takes control over you. Albert Einstein said, "If you study something for 15 minutes a day, you can be an expert within a year." It only takes a few minutes a day to turn off the TV and work on your financial planning. Imagine how much money you can save by making intelligent decisions. And think of how much more money you can make by making the right financial choices. You work hard for your money. It's time for your money to work hard for you. Throughout this program, we're going to take a look at many aspects of money, but let's just take a quick look at how others are saving their way to $1 million. There are approximately 19 million millionaires in America. That equals about 10% of the households. Millionaires are all around us. Surprisingly, the median income of millionaires is only about $131,000 a year. Many millionaires earn more, but some earn less. So how do so many millionaires turn their modest incomes into millions? By saving and investing. That's right, investing. In fact, more millions are made on Wall Street than in Silicon Valley. Even some of the richest entrepreneurs in America owe their fortunes to their company's stock, not the products or services they invented. And guess what? You can own the same stocks they do. The majority of millionaires don't drive fancy imported cars. They're actually very frugal. Believe it or not, some even clip coupons. Here are the 3 categories that most millionaires fall into: quick wealth, entrepreneurial wealth, and investment wealth. Let's go over them really quickly. Quick wealth can be defined as being born rich. It can't be any quicker than that. An inheritance or a trust fund would be considered quick wealth. Winning a big judgment in a lawsuit can quickly make you wealthy too. But I guess the quickest way to wealth would have to be winning the lottery. Chances are, for the majority of us, counting on quick wealth is a bad bet. The odds are against you. Then there's entrepreneurial wealth. This wealth is all around us. Any product or service that you've used was started by somebody and is probably making that person very wealthy. Entrepreneurial wealth does work, but it takes a lot of hard work. It also takes a lot of time, and not to mention a lot of money. Although your chances of becoming wealthy are greater than quick wealth, so are the risks. Investment wealth. This is the most practical way of becoming wealthy. It involves purchasing shares or stocks of a company. By investing your money, you become part owner by owning the shares. But you also share the risks and rewards of the company's performance. There is risk, but the odds are much better than quick wealth. And when it comes to risks, let the entrepreneurs take them first. Let's dig into the first two ways of becoming wealthy, starting with quick wealth and the one that many think is the way to wealth, the lottery. In 2016, the Powerball lottery made headlines for the largest jackpot in history, over $1.5 billion. The odds of winning that Powerball were 1 in 292 million. There's a better chance of getting hit by lightning twice in the same day. And here are some others you'd have a better shot at. Chances are you won't win the lottery. The odds are against you. For those of you who spend a great deal of money buying lottery tickets on a weekly basis, or those who gamble, you can surely find better returns on your money. Paying down a credit card debt, investing in the stock market, or even putting it away for your family vacation will give you much more satisfaction. So let's talk about entrepreneurial wealth. You may think the only way to beat the system and to quit working 9 to 5 is to open a small business. Well, whether you start a home-based business or open up a storefront, you will soon find out it takes a lot of hard work to get it started, to keep it going, and to show a profit. It's estimated that 900,000 new businesses are started each year. It's also estimated that every year over 800,000 companies fail. Now don't get me wrong. Many millions have been made by small businesses. However, if you're thinking about starting a small business, first set aside enough money to take the risk and be prepared for the worst case scenario, losing it all. Going into debt to finance a startup can derail your plans for a secure financial future. Although millions can be made by starting a small business, millions more are eventually lost. In a way, owning your own business is a gamble too. You can, however, become an owner of a large successful company without spending a fortune on startup costs. How? By becoming a shareholder. That's right. By purchasing stock in a large, successful, proven company, you become part owner in that company. Wouldn't it be great to own part of the largest fast food chain or software company without all the headaches of running it? Imagine every time you use a product from a company that you own shares in, you are really using your product, and you're sharing in the profits. Best of all, you don't have to worry about the day-to-day hassles of running a business. All you're interested in is the price of the stock. So that brings us to investment wealth. Investing is the only logical route for those wanting to build a fortune. And best of all, investment wealth doesn't require large sums of money. Remember, with just $4 a day, you could be well on your way. Now this program is all about saving, but those savings need to be invested in order for this program to work. The interest rate in typical bank savings accounts is less than 2%. So a hefty $100,000 after 20 years is only going to return $41,000. Whereas that same $100,000, if you invested in the S&P, would have returned $283,000. But don't let the words investing or stock market frighten you. You owe it to yourself to at least finish with this introduction. And don't think you can't afford $4 a day. You can. And I'll show you how. This is a complete financial freedom program. I will take you step by step from drowning in debt to making $1 million. I will show you the easiest way to find an extra $4 a day. I'll even help you find money that you didn't even know you had. Only a few dollars a day, earning 11%, is all it takes to become a millionaire. The history of the market has shown us common stock has paid an average return of 11%. Just by playing the averages, you're a winner. The three major indexes that help to assess the U.S. economy are the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500. I'll show you how, by investing in the entire index, you can beat over 80% of the managed funds, and you won't have to pay all the broker's fees. In 2019, the Dow was up 23%, the Nasdaq was up 35%, and the S&P 500 was up 28.9%. It was a great year. But let's go back to contrast a great year followed by a bad year. In 1999, the Dow was up 19.5%, the Nasdaq was up 85.6%, and the S&P 500 was up 25.2%. Just 1 year later, the Dow was down 6, the Nasdaq down 39, and the S&P was down 10. But the bad year followed by the good year still averaged over 11%. I will show you how to easily invest in these markets as a whole using electronically traded funds or mutual funds. More on that later. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to find the money to invest, and that can start with just your spare change. Remember, you only need $4 a day to get started, but you have to start now. And part 2 of the introduction will show you why. Congratulations on finishing part 1. Coming up next is introduction part 2. Please take a second to like and subscribe to this channel and visit itpaystosave.com, where you can pick up the workbooks and ebooks that go along with the course, the customizable spreadsheets, newly released and updated content, exclusive content, limited time offers, and even some freebies. So check back from time to time. That's at paystosave.com, where you can find everything in one place. See you on the next step.